As we move toward the next days, weeks, months, may we look forward in gratitude on the new project, and in everything we ask you to grant us good weather and allow no delays in the construction of this new hospital. We ask you to grant us special blessing on our General Director, Mr. Clattenbake. We ask you to touch his body, touch his mind, touch his spirit in all the decision making. Remember the management team of the Smmc Medical Center, all the staff that have been working tirelessly, from the nursing staff to the kitchen staff, administrative staff, all support staffs. Bless the ground that we will be building this new hospital on. And let us remember and always remember that we care together is our slogan. And we do all this and ask all this in the name of the Father, in the name of the Son, and in the name of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
It is really a great pleasure to be here with you this evening to commemorate what is a very, very special occasion, as we heard in the prayer, for government, for the staff, for the people of St. Martin. And I am deeply honored that I have the job of conducting proceedings here for you this evening. Nobody ever remembers the Master of Ceremonies. But I have the pleasure in seeing the Master of Ceremonies mentioned on the program. And I'm really very proud of that. I'm proud that I was asked to be here and to help with the proceedings this evening. They will entail a number of speeches and a presentation. The presentation will be of the phenomenal project that is coming here right out there, which you will get a chance to see when we have the presentation and later the groundbreaking ceremony. There are 8 speeches in all. Sounds a lot, but I assure you that those speakers will go through very quickly. They have some very interesting information that is educational, that is informative, and most of all, and most importantly, it lets you know just what is happening and what has been happening behind the scenes to come to where we are today. A groundbreaking is a very special occasion. It's not the actual building. That will come and the process will be there, but the groundbreaking is really symbolic of something that is happening and actually happening. As you heard in the prayer, the work permit or the building permit was granted, and so the project kicks off. Later on in the evening, after the speakers have had their say, there will be a short parade led by the Ebony Steel Orchestra, where a number of invited guests here this evening will don a hard hat, specially embossed on the front, and they will make their way to the area where there will be an unveiling of the contractor's signpost, and there will also be the official groundbreaking and turning of the sod. It will be a little in the dark, but there will be lights, and as well as those who will be going to take part in that ceremony, I would like to invite His Excellency Governor Holliday to witness that occasion with us. Later on, after that, on the way to that ceremony, there will be a station where champagne will be handed out to you. Please take a glass. Don't drink it till you get to the spot. The idea is that you will be able to toast. Those with the hard hats need not take a glass. There will be another station there for you where you will be able to have your toast after you've done your bit with the shovels. After that, we will be asking everyone to come back to the bar and to talk about what has happened for the next 3 hours, and in the process, maybe talk a little and exchange some ideas with some of the staff here. I think that's it. It's a 3-hour program. My job is to make sure that it all wraps up within those 3 hours. I hope I can do that. I'm appealing to the speakers to make me do that or help me with that. And so right now I would like to move on where I set the protocol so that the speakers will not have to set it themselves. I would like to officially welcome His Excellency, the Governor, Dr. Anders Eugene Holliday. Good evening, Governor. I'd also like to acknowledge the presence of the Council of Ministers and members of Parliament. I won't name you by name. I'd like to get through a long list here, but I recognize that you are here and you're seated in the front, and thank you very much for your attendance this evening. Especially the Deputy Prime Minister, Mr. Wycliffe Smith. Mr. Smith will be having a speech and making the first speech for the evening. I also invite and will be inviting up in a moment the host for the evening, Mr. Claren Bake. He's your host, he's the director of the hospital, and he will be officially welcoming you. I would like to recognize the presence of the representatives of the Netherlands on St. Martin, the representatives of the World Bank, the visitors from abroad, ministers and officials from Curacao, Aruba, and the Netherlands, the representatives of various ministries of government who are here, including VROMI, the Cabinet of VSA, the Ministry of Education. I would also like to welcome and announce their presence of representatives of SVB and insurance companies and representatives of various hospitals. I would like to acknowledge the presence of partners to the St. Martin Medical Center, including KPMG, SHTA, the Chamber of Commerce, and others. I would like to recommend other partners such as ICE, Civil Engineering, Caribbean, CEC, and partners in health, including Turning Point, the Diabetes Foundation, Physical Therapists Association, the White and Yellow Cross, the SLS Lab, and others. I would like to recognize various unions who are here this evening, and also friends and supporters of the St. Martin Medical Center. I would like to recognize pension providers such as Vida Nova, SZV, and APS, who are represented here today. Contractor INSO, I recognize them as being here, and thank you for your presence, and they will also be giving a speech later on. I recognize various neighbors in the vicinity who are also invited. They, after all, are the ones who are going to have to see the work going on in their immediate vicinity, and they are represented here as goodly neighbors. Media, I welcome you to the occasion, and I trust that you will give good coverage to something quite significant that's happening on this island, St. Martin. Last of all, I would like to acknowledge the presence of the supervisory board of directors of the St. Martin Medical Center, the management team members, the medical staff, the physicians, the St. Martin Medical Center staff, and the unions represented. Invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome, have yourselves a good evening, and I will now turn over the official welcome to the hospital director, Mr. Kees Claren Bake.
Why is this day so remarkable? I will try to explain that to you. We are busy with getting this new hospital in place, this moment in time of groundbreaking, already for 10 years. Many attempts has been done to reach to this point. But every time we failed for different reasons. But during the course of that time, we start thinking, What can we do better to make this happen, that this hospital will be there? And then we did go back to our slogan. Our slogan in the past is "We care," meaning we did everything ourselves, trying to get out there to get it done. But together you are stronger. Just a few years ago, when I started, I recognized that it would be and should be changed. So, as you heard already during the prayer, we changed our slogan to "We care together." Again, together we are stronger. And yes, I'll think an example for the whole country of Sint Maarten is the establishment of the tripartite, a collaboration between the Ministry of VSA as part of the government, SZV as the biggest insurance company, and Smmc as the hospital. Accepting and understanding that hospital care is not only the responsibility of the hospital, but for many, many entities. And from that moment on, working together helped us step by step reaching that moment in time where we are now. Groundbreaking of the new hospital. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why this important moment is here. Why this moment in time is so remarkable. I wish you a pleasant time during this event. I won't take it too long to welcome you, but welcome, welcome, welcome. And let's go ahead with the speeches. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clarenbeek. At this time, since we are talking about the hospital and hospital staff and working together, I would really like, so that I don't forget later on, recognize some members of staff who have really played a significant role in the development of the hospital over the years and continue as the Medical Center Pioneer Group. I really don't want to forget you, and I know how important you are to the hospital for being here this evening. Can you please just stand up, let everybody see who you are? Thank you very much. That is so generous. At this time, with the establishing of protocol, I would like to add 2 names to my protocol list. That is Dr. Felix Holliday. He is the medical director. He will also be speaking later on. And Mr. Chris Johnson. He's the Dutch representative on St. Maarten. They are added to the protocol list. And at this time, I would like to ask the Deputy Prime Minister to come forward to open the speeches for the evening. Mr. Wycliffe Smith, please come forward.
Thank you, Master of Ceremonies. We'll remember you. Protocol has been set, so it suffices me to say, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. Our Prime Minister is currently off island, and so it is my pleasure to represent her office at this momentous occasion. Country St. Maarten has long been awaiting the expansion of our medical center and of our medical facilities. And I'm proud to say that we are here to witness the groundbreaking for a new state-of-the-art hospital for our people. This is significant for us, for our neighbors, and also for our visitors who also seek medical care on our island. Research has proven that being surrounded by family and loved ones in a comfortable space contributes to the healing and to the recovery process. Therefore, when shortly we are able to offer critical, life-saving treatment at home at a facility such as this one, we can be even more proud that the sick among us will have better chances of recuperation. All of this would not have been possible without the tripartite approach to implementing this project. Specifically, I extend my gratitude to the St. Martin Medical Center, the Ministry of Public Health, Social Development and Labor, and the Social Health Insurance's SZV. Your cooperative efforts laid the foundation for the new hospital plans. You have set a standard for others to follow, and I encourage others to adopt the cooperative model as the benchmark for other similar government-related projects. But a very special word of thanks goes to our Minister of Health, the Honorable Emile Lee, and to his hard-working staff who have been working on this project for some years to bring the hospital to this groundbreaking point. Mr. Lee, congratulations. As I mentioned before, a new hospital has been on the country's wish list, or should I say rather, needs list, for several years. This project is a good example of continuity of government. Despite the many changes in government administration, the project continued and will continue until all the equipment and all the furnishings are in and the new doors are open. Let this new hospital be an inspiration for all of us. It is a workplace for the future of St. Martin, as our talented youth with an interest in the medical field and those studying abroad will have a place of employment when they return. It shows that when we work together, we overcome together. As our motto goes, sempre progrediens, the turning of the soil today is going to move towards progress for tomorrow, because St. Martin is always progressing. Congratulations and much success as we move forward together, and to the hospital staff as you care together. Congratulations.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Prime Minister Wycliffe Smith. On your programme, the next person to speak would be the head of the VNP, Mr. Chris Johnson, but we are bumping up the Honourable Minister of Health, Mr. Emile Lee. Sorry, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. We are here today to celebrate a milestone, the culmination of the planning, design, and financing phase of the new St. Martin General Hospital and the initiation of the construction phase of the project. I'd like to take a moment to recognize a few people and organizations a bit later in my speech, but I will start by saying that we're all here today because of a dedicated group of professionals that share a vision and determination to see this project to completion. But not only to complete this project, but also to ensure that this project is executed with integrity, transparency, and sustainability. We're a group driven by a vision to deliver quality health care for the country, St. Martin, but also to make sure that the hospital is financially sustainable. Driven by a conviction that what we're doing is transformational. Driven by the understanding how many people's lives will be impacted by the success or failure of our group. And while it's important to celebrate and acknowledge this achievement, before I discuss the new hospital, I'd like to take a moment to frame the project into a broader context. The new hospital will deliver much-needed space and modern facilities to expand the services to the people of St. Martin. However, we are not waiting for the construction of a new hospital to begin the expansion of these services. Already recently, a brand new ophthalmology department has been opened. And again, I'd like to thank the Netherlands, the Bes Islands, again, for their cooperation and partnership in that. And as a matter of fact, I think the ophthalmology department has some of the most state-of-the-art equipment that I've ever seen, both in the United States and Holland. And I think it's something that the feedback from the community has been really tremendous. But as well as an ear, nose, and throat department, orthopedics, and urology. Again, the feedback from the community has been tremendous. The fact that patients no longer need to go through SZV for the referrals to be referred to an ophthalmologist on the French side, again, this has been received with welcome arms. This means not only results in terms of better care and less waiting time, but it also translates into less administration for SZV. As we look at how do we bring down the operational costs of SZV, things like this help to reduce their expenditures. With repairs to the Smmc funded by the World Bank, more service and space will be coming online, ensuring an improvement in services while the new hospital is under construction. We certainly recognize that the construction of a state-of-the-art hospital doesn't, on its own, guarantee an improvement in quality. We're very cognizant of that. We're equally focused on the hard parts of the construction of the hospital, but as well as the soft parts, meaning the human resource portion of it. How do we grow it? How do we develop it? How do we nurture it to improve? Plans for continuing medical education, as well as a commitment to work towards an internationally recognized quality standard, or better known as a JCI accreditation, is a critical part of our redevelopment plan. We're very grateful to the World Bank team for also recognizing the significance of this and of the implementation of a quality standard as being an important part of our financing structure. And they've supported this with funding out of the $25 million in their first tranche for the support. Again, while this is all happening, in parallel, we're working on many, many other things. As a matter of fact, today, our French colleagues are here because we signed a cooperation agreement that actually has been pending for quite some time. Really, it's a simple statement that the two sides of the island are going to find a way to work together to synchronize in terms of the development of care, looking towards the goal of complementary services rather than competing services. We're a small island, and we want to plan together. We want to coordinate our insurances, our payouts. How do we synchronize and improve the movement of patients back and forth over the border? Again, that protocol, that agreement was just signed today. As a matter of fact, just an incident, a coincidence. But not only that, our cooperation extends further. Our public health department, insurance companies, and hospitals were working together with Aruba, Curacao, Bes Islands, and the French side, of course, in terms of synchronizing items such as how can we exchange specialists easier between our islands? Simple things that if we approve a prescription drug in one island, why do we make the drug companies approve them in each of the subsequent islands? Can't we coordinate and say once it's been approved in one of the islands, that it's approved in all the other islands as well? Addressing the high cost of prescription drugs by the formation of the GVS committee. General health insurance, or national health insurance, for sure, to be a battleground legislative topic. You look at the United States, there's no topic that divides a country more than the discussion about health care, access to health care, and who's going to pay for it. But we as a government are committed that everybody should have access to affordable health insurance. After all, what's the point of building a new hospital if you don't have the insurance to pay for the services, right? The St. Martin BIC, being able to bring in the quality specialists that the country needs to perform the services that our people need is a critical part of our redevelopment or our national health reform process. SZV is going through their 3.0 restructuring and customer service plan. I'm the first person to admit that I get phone calls all the time from businesses, from consumers, from patients who are frustrated with the way that SFV is working. We recognize it, we are working to address it. But at the same time, I also have to understand that SFV has quite some challenges, because as access to healthcare has been a challenge, we find that companies are engaging in all types of unethical behavior in order to give insurance to people. Again, something's fundamentally wrong when people need to commit fraud in order to access health care. We have a commitment to examine the role and responsibilities of our family physicians. Personally, I'm of the belief that family physicians should be more preoccupied with prevention and spending face time with their patients rather than controlling sick leave. I think that's something that we need to really look at, but this is a legislative issue. In order for us to restructure the relationship with the family doctors, we need to look at the legislation, which is again incorporated in our general health insurance. But certainly our commitment is going forward, how do we deliver preventative care timely to our patients so that we don't need to wait to the point where they need to be referred abroad? Reforming our referral process. Again, we recognize the challenges that SFV goes through. SFV is not a travel agency, they're not a logistical office, but yet because they have to manage so many referrals abroad, they're saddled with the cost, with the responsibilities of doing that. And we certainly would like to look at how do we better manage our referral process. And every dollar that's spent locally is better than any dollar spent abroad. Those dollars circulate in our local economy, and right now we're looking at somewhere around 35 million guilders a year that we spend in other countries. That money should be spent here, creating jobs here, creating revenue for the government here. Other things we're looking at, for example, health in all policies. You know, as the Ministry of VSA, we are looking at, for example, the health impact of the dump, but also simple things like we have a seatbelt law, we have a helmet law. By law, people are obligated to wear their seatbelts and helmets, right? We're looking at the health standards in terms of what the terms of reference for the dump looks like, or septic treatment plants. I get, again, complaints all the time about people, neighbors, who complain about septic water running in the streets. And while certainly, you know, that's the responsibility of the Ministry of Romi, certainly we acknowledge that the health consequences come back to the Ministry of VSA. Arriving here today by no means has been any single person's effort. It has been a collaborative effort by so many different organizations and individuals. And I need to start by thanking some people, in particular, someone who's shown an unwavering confidence and support from the very beginning. And I'm referring to Chairlady Sarah Westcott Williams. You know, when I first began this journey into politics, there's no person who has supported me and embraced me like you have, and I'm eternally grateful. First of all, in your confidence in me to serve as Minister of VSA in the first place. Secondly, you've been a mentor to me throughout my term as minister, and certainly as an advisor in terms of how do we bring the hospital project into reality. You've always been there as a resource, and again, it touches me that you've trusted me and you've given me the freedom to manage the process, the freedom to learn and to grow, and for that I am eternally grateful. A special thanks to the coalition, to the leader, MP Theo Heiliger, again for allowing me to continue in my position as Minister of VSA. To the health tripartite, representatives from the Ministry of VSA, SZV, and Smmc, in particular Bonnie Decker, Lydian Banaka, Elton Felici, and Ricky Williamsburg. You know, there's a core group of individuals that from the very beginning, before we conceptualized, or as we were conceptualizing the hospital project, it's this health tripartite that formed the basis for cooperation, for communication, for dialogue, and it's this health tripartite that has really laid the basis for where we are today. The financiers, of course, we need to thank. SZV, first and foremost, has been there from the beginning. Without SZV, we would not be here today. They're the company that's put the seed money to get the project started, and Glenn, of course, critical in that process. But also APS, APC, Vitanova Pension Fund, Vitanova Bank, Isla Refinery Pension Fund, the WIB, Fathom Life Insurance, and Fathom Pension Fund. And I see many individuals here. I hate to start naming names because undoubtedly I'll miss somebody, but you know who you are. Again, your support and your belief in the project has been very much appreciated. A special thanks to World Bank. Joe, sorry, I'm going to take my time. Special thanks to World Bank, Sabine Hader, Tassin Sayed, Carolyn Shelton, Marcelo Bortman, Michelle Keane, Dukla, and Eduardo. Governments past and present. Again, this is a project that has spanned, actually this December is 3 years in terms of from conception to where we are today. And it would be remiss of me to say that each of the governments has played their role and has supported in the process of arriving to where we are today. I only see a fellow former colleague, Minister Silveria Jacobs. Again, you've always been there as support, and I recognize and appreciate that. And also, in particular, Minister of Finance, former Minister of Finance, Michael Ferrier, our current Minister of Finance, Minister Keerlings, Minister Gitterson. We leaned on him pretty hard and his staff pretty hard in order to make sure that we got the building permits on time, and I must say that Vromi delivered that building permit as promised on time. Again, I'm very grateful. But, we talk about the different ministries working as silos, but that's simply not true. We had the Ministry of AZ, the fire department falls under the Ministry of AZ. We had the Ministry of Justice. From a traffic perspective, they needed to approve the helicopter pad, its location, and we found that every ministry in the government has put their shoulder to the task and has delivered in terms of ensuring that the project is where it is today. So again, there is a whole organization and team behind this. Of course, a special thanks to the staff, management, and board of the SMMC. Some of you may not know that actually Glenn was previously a chairman of the board of the SMMC, and in a previous life I was also chairman of the board, and I would have never imagined that I would be here today at the groundbreaking for a new hospital. Board and management of SZV, and certainly last but not least, family, friends, and the cabinet of the Ministry of VSA. Let me start with the cabinet of VSA. They are my family. When I come back from a frustrating day, I feel like I come home and I feel at liberty to say what I think, and they always are there to support me, to encourage me, to scold me if necessary, but they've always been there for the interests of the country. As a matter of fact, when I first hired the ministry, the cabinet members, I told them one thing. All I ask of you, I don't ask you to be loyal to me, I ask you to be loyal to the country of St. Martin, and as long as we both maintain our loyalty to the country, we're going to get along fine. And that philosophy has carried through for all these years. Friends, there's a number of people here who trusted in me to deliver where we are today, and again, I thank you for your confidence. And mostly to my family. My wife, Gisela, is here. She sometimes questions why I put so much effort into this, and she's had to endure some really, honestly, ridiculous collateral damage. So just for the record, my wife manages Atlas Construction. Atlas Construction is not going to build the new hospital. They're not going to sweep the yards. They're not going to trim the landscaping. They have nothing to do with the new hospital. So for those who are out there, the naysayers, the people who are just jealous about the progress, well, we're here today. But I need to also recognize there's 4 people in particular. As we affectionately refer to them, it's the A team. The fact is there's a core group here that without them, I know we would not be where we are today. Several members of this core team have had their own personal challenges over the past 3 years. But however, despite their personal challenges, they've always been there to do whatever needed to be done for the project to move forward. And that is Henk de Zeeuw, our project manager from KPMG. He brings a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of experience in putting together large and complex projects. And thank you for keeping us directed and focused on what the core issues are at hand. Of course, Kees Clarenbeek, director of the SMMC, Somehow CASE always brings a calm and balanced perspective, and of course always with that healthcare perspective. How do we always make sure that we're delivering the quality to the people? To Glenn, Director of SZV, thank you. A true partner, always on the same page. It's amazing how over the years we've become synchronized in terms of our thinking. As a matter of fact, even before we came up here, Glenn joked with me, he says, "Minister, do you have your highlighter?" And as a matter of fact, absolutely, I brought my highlighter for my speech. That's how in sync Glenn and I are in terms of what we think and what we're doing. And again, Glenn, without you, we wouldn't be here where we are today. You've taken bold steps to move the project forward. And last but not least, Jim Rosen, cabinet member. He brings an unparalleled level of dedication and commitment to this project. He possesses a drive and determination that I've rarely seen. And again, without you, Jim, we wouldn't be here. He's one of my most trusted advisors. Thank you so much. Sorry, Joe. The fact that, although we've experienced a number of challenges in retrospect, again, putting things in perspective, I'd like St. Martin to understand actually how blessed we are and how blessed this project is. The fact that Irma passed before we began construction has been a blessing in disguise. It has allowed us the time to re-examine the standards by which we engineered the project and to increase those standards to make sure that we comply with super hurricane norms. Minister of Justice is in the house. Okay, allowing us to build what we believe to be one of the strongest buildings on the island, engineered not only for hurricanes, but also for earthquakes. The fact that the recovery funds were made available by the Netherlands via the World Bank has allowed us to finance the strengthening of the new hospital, as well as to make provisions for the Smmc while the new hospital is under construction. Even the current financial restructuring that INSO's parent company is going through has demonstrated that the project structure and safeguards that we've put in place, in combination with financial guarantees and performance bonds, ensures that the project is properly insulated from any potential financial shocks, securing the completion of the project on budget. And we've done everything possible to ensure continuity. Imagine, during my term as minister, as I said, this December will be 3 years, there have been 2 elections and 4 different council of ministers. Again, thanks to the coalition for allowing me to continue my work on behalf of the Ministry of VSA. But clearly, the continuity of my position as Minister of VSA has helped to deliver the project to this point. If there were constant changes in the position of Minister of VSA, I have my doubts whether we would be here today. The continuity brought stability to the project, as well as confidence to the stakeholders, and is a clear example of the benefit as well as the need for stability in government. Understanding the political reality in which we live, this project has been structured so that we enter into the construction phase of the project. The St. Martin General Hospital, together with the project management team, are in control of the project, ensuring that if there is any turbulence within government, the project is insulated from political turmoil. The St. Martin General Hospital is the entity that is borrowing the money from the financing consortium directly based on their business plan. The World Bank funding typically is assigned to government, but government has assigned that financing directly to the St. Martin General Hospital. The board structure includes representation from government, SZV, as well as the financiers, which helps to provide a proper governance and oversight structure. Based on the allocation of the World Bank financing, World Bank procedures and procurement policies will also extend to the new hospital, again providing additional governance and oversight into the project, ensuring continuity from this day forward. However, personally, today represents much more than just the construction of a new hospital. Well-structured projects are the way forward. As previous speaker talked about, I believe that the St. Martin General Hospital project should be a role model project for others to follow. I think that our solid waste management program, for example, could follow a very similar process. I'm very proud of the way this project's been put together, and I believe it could serve as a model for how other projects are executed. The transparency and professionalism in the planning and execution has allowed others to participate with confidence. And this is a dividend that we've seen being paid back time and time again, that whenever we've had a hiccup and we've had to go to a third party, the first thing they do is they look at the process and they understand that this process has been done transparently and with integrity, and it gives them the confidence to insert themselves in the project. This has allowed the various financiers to step in with confidence. This has allowed World Bank to step in with confidence. It's allowed the Netherlands to step in with confidence. They've had the plans vetted by the CFT, by SOAB. Again, this project has been well vetted, well examined by other financial analysts. Almost done, Joe. There are additional benefits. A state-of-the-art hospital with quality specialists offers the island an opportunity for real, true economic diversification. Medical care is a recession-proof industry. As St. Martin becomes a center for medical excellence to service our people, this success will bring people from neighboring islands. Naturally, we will already see the people from Saba and Statia coming, but I've already received indications from other islands, such as Anguilla, that they're looking forward to us being able to deliver on a new hospital project. And on a last note, and on a more personal and philosophical note, one of the more subtle benefits of the project is that I believe that finally the people of St. Martin can see that government is well capable of delivering a professionally organized project with transparency and integrity. Real reform is possible, real change is possible. So when those in our community say things will never change, it's simply not true. It can, and this project is living proof of that. We will continue to work for the people of St. Martin. The people of St. Martin will continue to see dramatic improvements in healthcare as we fulfill our promise to deliver improved quality of life and affordable quality healthcare close to home. Keep the faith. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister of Health, Mr. Emil Lee. Obviously had a lot to say. And because of the time taken by the last speaker, the next 4 speakers have now been taken off the program. I took 2 things from Mr. Lee's speech, some very interesting information, really, especially about the hospital and what we're going to get there. One thing is the A-team. I wonder who is Mr. T, who is Mad Murdoch, and who is Face, because I don't see Glenn in any of those. And as for Emil Lee being scolded by anyone, I don't believe that one, but I take his word for it. The head of the VNP in St. Martin is Mr. Chris Johnson. I'd like to ask him to come forward, please.
Thank you very much, Joe. We only just met about an hour ago, and you already bumped me once from my speaking turn, and now you just threatened to take me completely off of the whole schedule. So, yes, I guess that's the way it is. I will be a little bit more brief than the previous speaker, but he had a full right to speak here, and knowing Emil, with his passion and everything that he has done for this project, he could have easily stood here for the entire evening, and he would have been in his right to do so. So I want to ask, before I start, a real round of applause for Minister Lee for his hard work and everything he has done for this project. Minister. I was planning to get to that anyway by the end of what I was going to say here, but seeing that he just spoke, I really had to say that because, you know, I've been in the position I'm in now since 2016, but before that I was a commissioner on the sister island of Saba for 9 years, and I had met Emil a few times in between passing different events. But really when I came here, I got to meet him, and I started to wonder how obsessed this guy was with this hospital. Whenever we would have delegations coming over and we would have a meeting request from Minister Lee, they would say, well, what will be the agenda in the meeting? I said, well, I can tell you what the agenda point will be in the meeting, and it will undoubtedly be the hospital. So, Emil, you have put in a lot of hard work here. Your wife is sitting behind you, and you had the right to call her out too. I'm sure she's had to go through a lot dealing with you in this hospital. But again, my heartfelt congratulations. I just wanted to speak briefly about, it ties in with the motto of the Smmc, where it says, we care together. And I want to talk about cooperation. And I see both speakers before me have already spoken about cooperation. But you know, my position, being the head of the Dutch Representation Office here in St. Martin, of course, that is an issue that is very close to my heart, and obviously an issue that I hear a lot about. We know that the relationship between St. Martin and the Netherlands isn't always the best one. I can say for all 6 of the Dutch islands in the kingdom, sometimes it feels like a group of people living in one house together, and nobody likes each other at times. Nobody wants to leave. People point fingers at each other. And that is maybe an analogy of the world of kingdom relations. You know, however, we have been tied together in a kingdom for hundreds of years. My family originally comes from, like I said, the sister island of Saba. And for 14 generations, my family has lived in the Windward Islands. So we look different, we talk different, we come from a different part of the world than the European part of the Netherlands. But we have been associated with the Kingdom of the Netherlands for 14 generations. And that is many of us here in this room from all the different islands. We have had a long relationship between St. Martin and the Netherlands, between all of the islands and the Netherlands. And it is my hope that that is a relationship that we can make more fruitful for us. You know, cooperation comes in many different forms. It has many different names. For us, from the Netherlands now, or from working for the Netherlands, we now talk about the trust fund. But we talked about during Hurricane Irma, we talked about emergency assistance, talked about early recovery, funding, direct support, what have you. Be it in a different name, at the end of the day, it's all cooperation. And I am of the opinion that we can do more together. I believe, I'll not say I believe, I know that this project symbolizes that. It personifies that cooperation can lead to great advancements for all of our people. So I want to thank all of those who have been involved in this, from the government right back, Council of Ministers, Members of Parliament, Minister Lee went through a whole list. But those who have worked together, who have believed in cooperation throughout this process, and have believed that this will ultimately benefit the people of St. Martin, the big picture. I'm a person that really believes we have to continue focusing on the big picture. And I'm so glad to be here today, to be able to say a few words to bring this message across. Because there is so much more that we can do together. You know, this is just one aspect of the relationship. And I believe that if we work together, that if we learn how to communicate more positively towards each other, taking in each other's needs, the differences that we have, but if we do that, we can accomplish so much together. When I look at the hospital, I also think that the hospital is a model of cooperation. I want to say a special thank you to the staff of the St. Martin Medical Center. I've actually been here personally a lot the last few months. 2 of my uncles were both here, my mother's brother and my father's brother. And coming here on a daily basis to visit them, I really was in touch with a lot of the medical staff, the doctors, the nurses, security, what have you. And I think that when you see the way a hospital functions, it also shows you that cooperation is necessary. Not only is it helpful, but it's necessary. You know, I'm sure that not all the staff are best of friends with each other, but what you see is that people work together, doctors, nurses, staff, like I said, people learn to function together, and you can see the effect that this has. The effect that it has for the people, the effect that it's had for some of your clients. So a personal thank you from me as well, because, you know, for both of them in very tough positions, it was amazing to see the care and dedication they received. My old Uncle Guy, some of you know, 82-year-old uncle, he said, man, they treat me like a king in here. So they said, you okay, Guy? He said, yes, absolutely. I love it. But you have a hardworking staff, you're dedicated, and now you are celebrating an event, the groundbreaking of a new general hospital. This is a great moment for you all. I won't take up any more of your time, but there are amazing things that we can do together, and all of you deserve the credit that you have received. Thank you very much. I wish you all a good evening.
And just for the benefit of Mr. Johnson, the lineup is just about right, because in the middle, Emil has just warmed things up for you. So you actually got a good placement. I would add to what you said, though, about the staff. I had the pleasure of working along with some of the medical staff a couple of years ago when I was asked to help to promote some of what the staff were doing in the various departments. And I was just blown out. You know, you really don't know unless you are in the hospital, interacting with the nurses in the different departments, seeing what they do and the level of care and dedication they actually have. I was really, really amazed. And it made my writing quite easy because I was just really saying what I saw. It was really good. So congratulations, everyone. A supervisory council and a supervisory board has an important job to do. That is the job of overseeing what goes on, not really getting involved, but making sure that the proper processes are in place and that those procedures are being followed the way that they should be legally and properly in terms of corporate governance. Here at the St. Martin Medical Center, it's the Supervisory Council, and responsible for that council as chairman is Mr. Robert Yan James, who I shall now call to the podium.
Good evening, everybody. Everything I was going to say has been said already, so I was going to ask the minister if he has a red marker so I can stripe out everything that's already been said. But I think the message is clear. I started at the Supervisory Council 6 years ago, and a collaboration and working together as we are today with the parties as we are today was impossible. It was unheard of at the time. So, you know, a lot has been said. I'm going to keep it very short, but two main messages, and one is collaboration. The fact that we were able to get all these parties together, work together, be on the same line, have the same goal ahead of us. So I really need to point out, of course, first of all, Kees and his entire team at the Medical Center has done a tremendous job. They've put in hours that I don't even have in a day, and I don't know how he does it. But his entire team, everybody at the St. Martin Medical Center. Of course, Glenn at SZV as well, it's been said, but you know, you've put your head on the block a couple times already for us, and you continue to do that. So thank you, your entire team at SZV for doing what you've done and continuing to support us.
We will have 4 outpatient clinics, and dialysis clinic with up to 30 chairs, what is in fact a doubling of the number of chairs we do have now. A radiology department with an MR scan, a magnetic resonant imaging scan, and an emergency department with 2 GP clinics in it. So we are going to divide the patient stream on the ER to ER patients and to general practitioner patients. We will have a helideck, primarily to fly in patients from SEBA and Stasia for urgent situations, and we will have a parking lot and a parking garage available for in total 420 parking places. And then when we show you some details about the levels, we have 4 levels and a ground floor. First we had 3 and a ground floor, but based on the post-ERMA specs, we had to bring an extra floor in for the equipment, what was first of all in the basement. When we look to this picture, I can see it up here now, at the bottom, can we go to the next one? That's maybe a little bit more clear. What we see here at the right side is 2 entrances to a red square. And the red square is the ER department with 2 different entrances, one for the ambulance and one for patients who are self-referring. The light green spot is the pharmacy, what will be included in the hospital. And a little bit more dark green at the top left side, that is our laboratory, what will be fully in-housed as a lab in the new hospital. The purple spot, that is the dialysis department on the ground floor. A lot of patients will come in. The orange part, what we see here, that's the imaging department, including the MR, CT, and all state-of-the-art equipment. The blue part, that is some storage, and the light blue, I think it is, that's the kitchen. So that's the ground floor layout. And of course, we do have an entrance with a receiving area for patients, but also some shops. And we are still defining what kind of shops that should be. Then we go to the next floor, the second floor, and what we see here in pink, that are the 4 outpatient clusters. In blue are some staff offices, and the decision is taken that whatever is needed for primary care will be in the main hospital, and staff office will be taken out and in the future replaced in what we call now the care complex. The green is the changing area for the staff. And what we see in orange is the physiotherapy, what is included in the hospital as well. The left corner, that is the empty shell from the extra wing at this moment in time. And we can use that in the future for additional services, what we want to bring in, or for medical tourism. Next slide, please. What we see here in the yellow, that is at the right side, that is the OB-GYN department, with at the top suites for delivering. So that's a totally new concept what we will bring in here in the hospital. So you not have a labor room anymore and go then to the delivery room. When you admitted, you will be in the delivery suite till the very moment that the baby is out. At the left side in yellow we see the pediatrics, at the bottom at least, and in between we have the neonatal care, the little cribs you can see there. And at the top side in yellow, that will be the daycare unit for OR patients, what is only to be admitted for a day, and also for the oncology patients for the chemo treatments. What you see in the left top corner in green, that is our endoscopic department. And also for the endoscopic patients, the daycare center can be used, of course. And then we have some in light green in the left bottom. We do have some maintenance rooms. And then we go to the next floor, and on the next floor, that is called our hot floor. There where the most technology is, OR related, is called the hot floor. So at the left top in red, that is our OR complex. With very in the left corner, you see 4 square rooms that are the ORs. One of them again with the cath lab in it, and one specifically dedicated for emergency operations and C-sections. At the left bottom, something in purple or maybe blue, that's our CSD, Central Sterilization Department, what of course is needed directly at the OR. And a little bit at the right in a kind of skin color, that's our ICU department near the OR. The orange part is the med-surg department, so partly med and partly surg, and we do have enough isolation rooms in that. What I forgot to mention is that in the ground floor, and as a matter of fact on every floor, We do have patios, open patios, kind of garden. And on the ground floor, we do have a chapel for people to go to worship. What you see is some different colors as well. That's red, blue, and green. We divided all the streams, the patient streams, the logistic streams, and the employee streams. That's all separated in this model. And this is still a floor layout plan pre-IRMA, because a third and a fourth floor on the extra wing will be there as well. This is the top floor, and on the top floor that is only equipment, air handlers, pressure, air pressures, etc., etc. And that is all safeguarded by concrete and metal fences. And on top of the roof, of course, we have some solar panels. The reason for that is that we want to be LEED efficient, so efficiency of electric sufficient, and we want to go for the silver certificate of the LEED. So we think at least solar panels are needed for that. Next, please. And to give you at least a kind of a view, how long will it take? Well, from the very moment the construction period will start, it will take up to 49 months before the whole construction is finished. And what we did already in the month of December is the soil investigation, to check out how the foundation of the hospital should be, how strong it should be, how many concrete should be used, etc., etc. The site preparation is scheduled to be somewhere in January, and the final design is still busy to be finished. That's normal, because you always start with the preliminary design, what is needed for the building permit, and after that you go further in detail, and that's called finishing of the final design, what is scheduled to be somewhere in March. And then the construction of the main building will take up to 3 years, somewhere starting hopefully and expectedly somewhere in January, will take up till the end of 2021. And then a very, very sad moment will occur, because this existing hospital, what served us so quite well, will be and has to be demolished. Because we need space for the extra wing. And we need the extra wing to have sufficient space for giving proper care to the populations of St. Maarten and Sebastasia, maybe more islands in the surrounding, and our tourists. So people ask maybe, why are you building here? Now, the answer is pretty simple. We have a 30,000 square meter plot we need for building the hospital. And if we look to the position of this plot we have now, that's in a way the ideal location. We are central to the Philipsburg area, we are central to the Mao area, we are central to the St. Peter's area, and we just can't find another spot with the size of 30,000 square meters in the direct surrounding of this spot. So the hospital will be built here at the back. And that will be a challenge on its own, because the distance between the existing building and the new building, 5 stories, is less than 1 meter. So we're going to have some issues with dust, noise, vibrations, but we're going to handle that. But it is a challenge. So after demolishing the building, and again, I think it's sad, but it can be done other ways, we also will build the construction of the helipad at the backside where you entrance the Jekyll Road, and also during the same period of time, the parking garage. So the end of December 2022, 4 years from now, the new hospital is fully there and fully operational. And then, of course, I stated that already, the St. Maarten Medical Center or the St. Maarten General Hospital is not here for itself. It's just to serve the populations I mentioned. So, what are the benefits for the patients? First of all, direct access. Direct access to more medical care. We're going to bring in neurology, and we're going to bring in orthopedics in early next year. Pulmonology will be full-fledged as well, but you need space for that. And more services per specialty as well. So we need space for that as well. But patients do have direct access for that. And having more direct access reduces the number of referrals abroad. So that's very good, because the discomfort for every single individual patient will be reduced by staying close to home. What is our strategy? And quality care close to home, in a healing environment, close to your family, with your friends, close by, well, is the best healing environment you can have. So I think this is the best and the most important benefit for the patients. But also, we have benefits for the country of St. Martin. And Minister Lee already mentioned it, the Deputy Prime Minister mentioned it already. We will have less referrals abroad, what will cost quite less than it costs now by sending people abroad. And the money stays in our own economy, what is very important. And we will and maybe have some influx from other islands as well. What benefits, of course, the income of the hospital, what will have, of course, a direct benefit for the cost of healthcare in total for the country. And don't forget the increase in employment, because for all those new services, for running that new hospital, we need 100 plus new FTE, full-time equivalent employees. So there is a big increase in employment for the hospital, but also for the island. But then not to forget the staff, because we have benefits for the staff. And I want to make very, very clear my appreciation for you. Not only the legends in the past, but also the people who have worked here, did go away, and all the staff who is working here. We have worked under difficult circumstances. Difficult circumstances with a hospital what was maybe maintenance technically not fully up to par. We did our best, but the old building was just old and outlived his lifetime. So in the new hospital, the working conditions will be improved. New equipment and fully climate controlled hospital is absolutely a big, big step forward in the working conditions. And of course, a bigger hospital gives career opportunities. And I did go out last week, did some presentations for the staff and stated it's all about you. Because you are the St. Martin Medical Center. We have to deliver the care all together as Team Smmc, and it starts by you. So career opportunity, first of all for you, by having a larger hospital. And then of course I want to thank a few people and a few entities. First of all, Team Smmc. As I stated before, we did go through rough times, and you stayed. The perseverance of you was great, and we couldn't have done it without you. So I thank you very, very much for the confidence, staying in this hospital, believe in the future of this hospital, believe in the healthcare on the island. So thank you very much, Team Smmc. And then the next I want to thank is the tripartite. It's mentioned quite a number of times already, but really, really one of the main things of the success of this hospital, this new hospital, what can come to the island is the tripartite. Not looking per entity, the Ministry of VSA, the SZV or the Smmc, only to their own responsibility, but together to the responsibility of having the right hospital care on the island. That change in approach is really a great benefit for the country. And I wish everybody in the same situation in another sector on the island to have a tripartite in place, because really, really it will benefit you. And of course the government of St. Martin, and that should be multiplied, because what was said already, it's not only this government, but it was previous governments as well. We signed off the tripartite under the government of Prime Minister Gams. We signed off the DBM contract with INZO under the government of William Marlin. And now we are here under the government of Leona Marlin and having this groundbreaking in place and making the step forward to the next phase. So thank you, all members of government, past or current, for having the confidence in our entity and supporting us. So thank you very much. And then, of course, the lenders. We were not able by our own to put the money right away on the table to get that new hospital in place. So we needed lenders to finance the hospital. Lenders, thank you so much for are willing to do so. And we will make sure that this is one of the most beautiful buildings and the best project for you ever. So thank you so much for participating in this project. And then, of course, I wanted to thank the Dutch government for making the St. Martin Recovery, Reconstruction and Resilience Trust Fund available. and also the interim recovery committee to recognize the need for the hospital to have extra funding for the post-Irma specifications. Without you, we wouldn't have the strongest building on the island. And what I proudly will say, I expect this will be the strongest building in the world, also for the earthquake resistance. So I'll think together we made that happen. And then a special word of thanks to Zorgverzekeringskantoor BES, because on our way to this moment in time, we needed to show that we were making progress in getting new specialties in, new services in, and bringing the quality in. And as mentioned already by Minister Lee, ZVK provided us with a grant to get the state-of-the-art equipment in for ophthalmology and urology. So ZVK, thank you very much for that, because that's really a big step forward. So I say, on behalf of the Sint Maarten Medical Center, the Supervisory Council and the Board of Directors, Team Smmc, thank you. And on behalf of Supervisory Council, Board of Directors, and every single employee of the Sint Maarten Medical Center, thank you all who are participating in this project. We care together. That's our slogan. We care together as health professionals for our patients. We care together with the tripartite for the healthcare on the island of St. Maarten, the country of St. Maarten. And together with all the insurance companies and everybody sitting here, we are caring for our beloved island. And that brings me to what is going to be at least part of our second slogan: together we will make it happen, the new hospital. Before I close, I want to make one thing perfectly clear before I hand over the word to my colleague, Medical Director Dr. Felix Holliday. Concrete is concrete. Staff decides how quality is. And we are willing to raise that quality. I know a lot of times people doubt about the quality in this hospital, but that's not fair. The quality is good. And yes, there is always room to improve. And yes, we recognized it. And yes, we will do that. And my colleague, Dr. Felix Holliday, will address that. How are we going to do that? So please, Dr. Holliday, come forward.
Mr. Clarenbeck, you can't be taking my job away. Thank you. I had a big preamble. Dr. Holliday.
On my speech, I have good afternoon. So you see that things change when time passes. So I will adopt a little bit the content in order to proceed, because my throat is also dry, and I'm also longing for a little bit of champagne. So as my colleague, Mr. Clarenbeck states, together we are going to make it happen. We are the ones that are supposed to provide the elevation of a healthcare standard in St. Maarten, and that's the topic of my presentation today. It has been a long-awaited moment that arrived, and of course, for me now, it's always difficult after so many speeches, because the amount of consultations we have had. I have heard the minister touched on every single topic that I'm going to speak with you this evening on. But I'll keep it brief, short, and quite transparent, so that when you leave here, you are informed as to where we are today as a St. Maarten Medical Center and where we have to go. Because before we reach there, we have 4 years or maybe more to go. So the transition period is very important. And transitioning to the new hospital, meaning that we have to bring our level of care up to standard in order for us to function efficiently and very directly in order to improve the care for our clients here in St. Maarten. Next slide, please. We all have a role to play in this process. So all the stakeholders here, you know who you are, I'm not going to mention them much, but all the stakeholders have a role to play in elevating the healthcare standard in St. Martin. I'll speak a little bit more on the present measures that we are taking in transitioning, of course, our organization to live up to the expectations that that beautiful building will have with it. Because without the staff that is so important and instrumental in providing the quality you're going to need, the building will be just bricks, as my colleague states. In the transitioning, we are going to be realizing essential upgrades in order to provide that care. Our present building is way too small, and I will touch a little bit on those topics. Besides the manpower, and then we have the building, you also have to have standards, quality standards that all of us have to adhere to. We have had numerous discussions with governmental institutions, with the Inspectorate of Health, as to what quality standards now they want us to live up to. And we have embarked on processes in order to make that transparent, not only for ourselves, but to government and to the Inspectorate and to our clients. What are the standards they want us to adhere to, or we need to adhere to, and in living up to those standards, then we'll be fairly judged as to the care quality that we are providing to the clients of the St. Martin Medical Center today and in the future at the St. Martin General Hospital. It is vital that all stakeholders play a part in that process. And we know that government, in our collaboration, government has done quite a lot. But when you reach to the hospital, it's a nice project, but you're actually, on a lot of occasions, too late. So preventative healthcare standards has to be elevated. And our primary physicians has a major role also to play therein. Our insurances that in supporting these preventative healthcare service also has to step up, because a lot of preventative healthcare actions are not covered by the insurances because it's not an illness. So those are things that going forward, we as a community, as all stakeholders in healthcare, have to step up our game. Who are we doing it for? The clients of St. Martin. All our inhabitants are actually the reason why we're here today. Today I'm here standing as Dr. Felix Holliday, but tomorrow I could be lying in the bed of the St. Martin Medical Center. So it is our duty and our responsibility to make sure that we put the healthcare institution in place, the standards in place, and providing, of course, the quality staff that is needed to provide this care. For today it could be you, tomorrow it could be me. So I would like that when I'm laying in that bed, that someone who's taking care of me is properly prepared to provide that care that I need. And in overlooking, of course, all we'll be doing, the Inspectorate of Health also has to play a role. And therefore, our constant, transparent discussions with the Inspectorate as to what does he expect us to deliver, what internationally we have to deliver, and we are on process proceeding to get those things done. Next slide. We have seen, you see the graph on the left side of the slide. As you see, there's an increasing in the staff. That indicates that since 10, as we have become a country and finally had access to the numbers and the data as to what type of care and the amount of clients we are sending abroad, we have been able to make now informed decisions. By creating the tripartite, whereby all that information was then shared without any prejudice and making it available for all of us to make informed decisions, we see since 2017, there's finally hope, whereby you see there's a diminishing of the level at the top of those staffs. So we have seen now since 2017, by implementing of course, in introducing additional specialties and services in the St. Martin Medical Center, that we are slowly but surely achieving what we need to do, is to curb, of course, the outflux of our hard-earned tax money into other countries and investing it in ourselves. Next slide, please. At the end of the day, we are doing this namely for you, the patient, the client. Tomorrow it can be me. We want all patients, when coming to the SMMC present and in the future, the St. Martin General Hospital, to leave in an improved physical condition. The process to achieve this has to be evidence-based, using international standardized policies tailored to all individual needs. With improved healthcare services and well-informed patients, who actually also has to be engaged in their own process, we will continue to strive for excellence and good patient outcomes. Present measures that St. Martin Medical Center and its staff have undertaken, next slide, is we have embarked, not only recently but in the past, our nurses, our education department that plays such a huge role in educating our community, in making them aware of the healthcare issues that they have to pay attention to in order to be, of course, to be on time in order to prevent coming to the hospital. The specialists here, you see an example of the specialists recently engaged or initiated town hall meetings with the public of St. Martin, informing them on difficult medical issues and making them aware and sensitizing them that in the early warnings of the early warning signs of different illnesses. By informing our public and our clients, we will be able to elevate the healthcare of the St. Martin population. We have seen, of course, since 2010 that we have to expand our services, and that's because the numbers have showed us that the care demand has increased tremendously, not only for us, but also for the islands of Saba and St. Eustatius. So that's why I think this project is so important, that by expanding those services, we will be able to provide care for each and everyone here in St. Martin. One thing we have to be aware of, we are still an island of only 55,000 inhabitants. So despite, of course, the gorgeous building that we are going to be able to construct here in St. Martin, we will always have certain limitations. There will always be a little 5%, maybe 10% of problems that we will still have to buy that care abroad. But in making informed decisions and transparent with each other, we will be able to control the cost much better when we expand the services in St. Martin. Next slide. So as I state, informed decisions and knowing what you're doing with research is very important going forward in elevating the standard of care. For now, for a few years, we are conducting patient satisfaction surveys. We are conducting performance feedback for our specialists, for our nurses. So we have the figures to prove and to show that we are consciously busy with elevating the standard of care in the St. Martin Medical Center, which in the long run would have a positive effect on the health care of our clients in St. Martin. After Irma, of course, which was being very challenging for the St. Martin Medical Center and its staff, and for that I think they deserve a huge warm applause. St. Martin Medical Center, despite all what happened, they have been there from day one after hurricane struck to, I say, to 3 to 4 weeks. People has actually lived in the medical center providing care to the community of St. Martin. So without the staff of St. Martin Medical Center, we won't be standing here today and, of course, embarking on the dawn of this new project. different medical services has been erected since. That has been spoke about as the eye care clinic. But a big and huge prevalent problem that we have in the society, that it's a silent killer, no one knows about it. One of the parliament members, who's also a physician, Dr. Merslina, spoke recently to the public, informing them of the huge problem diabetes and high blood pressure is inflicting on our population. So I urge you all to inform yourself, to educate yourself in these very, very complex diseases that in the long run, if you don't take measures in the early phase, when you arrive to the St. Martin Medical Center or the St. Martin General Hospital, you'll be too late. We can only perform damage control. So, after Irma, we have to transition, of course, going to new building. We have identified several amount of projects here on the slide. We are thankful, of course, to the World Bank that they have approved those projects, seeing that they have been transparent, they have been tendered, and adhering to all principles in World Bank financing, we are going to be able to upgrade certain services here in the St. Martin Medical Center. Next slide. As you can see, the red dots will show you all the different locations in the present building that we have to expand the structure in order to provide the services that you'll be able to benefit from in the new St. Martin General Hospital. So we have a lot of work ahead before we reach to the new St. Martin General Hospital. Besides the building, next slide, the building, of course, and the staff, the third pillar, of course, in realizing a successful elevation in healthcare standard is making sure that the staff are trained on all levels, and that's being realized. Within the St. Martin Medical Center, therefore, we have introduced a new quality and safety department with an additional medical staff support bureau. This is important in order to establish a transparent quality monitoring system in the St. Martin Medical Center in discussion with our stakeholders, and to strive to have an international education of healthcare qualities in St. Martin. This is my last slide. The minister spoke about Joint Commission accreditation. I recently visited the Netherlands. All of the hospitals now are transitioning into adapting to accredit themselves into these healthcare standards. It's important because it's internationally recognized, then you can benchmark yourself with other institutions, and in that way, you can then make a statement as to the level of care that you're providing in St. Martin. The adherence to the local healthcare regulations are being addressed in this process, and communications with our partners herein is ongoing. This is a high mountain to climb, as you see, but we are of the opinion, if you never start climbing, you can never reach the top. I want to thank you all present for your attention and support to the St. Martin Medical Center in general in undertaking this tremendous journey with us. Thank you very much.
Dr. Holliday is also a board member of the St. Martin Mental Health Foundation. He does a lot of good work there, and I'd like to acknowledge that. Also, just going back a bit with Mr. Clarenbake, I met him for the first time last Friday, and when we spoke about what was going to happen here, he was so excited. I mean, he was like a little child talking about all that was going to happen. And he was really into his presentation. He wanted you to know what was going on. He wanted to show you the slides. He wanted to show you the people walking into his new hospital. He was really excited about it. And we need to give him a real good, heavy, hard round of applause for what he is doing here at the hospital. Mr. A-Team, Glenn Carty. Mr. T, the man with the money, come forward.
I'm stiff. My communication department made sure that they put my speech on paper so that I would not deviate from the script. Tell you what I'll do. I'm going to post it on social media because definitely you'll read it instead of listening to it tonight. I thought I'd get an applause for that. So, thank you, communication department, but we'll post it. However, a couple highlights that I'd like to still mention that's supposed to be in this here. Close to 40 million guilders, taxpayers' money, leaves this island that goes abroad. Close to 40 million guilders to other countries from our taxpayers' money. That is why SZV is pushing this project, because majority of that money can stay home. Several thousand referrals abroad that have to go by plane, that have to be booked, that you have to fly with Incel that cancels every so often, or Winair, or last-minute changes of specialists when they reach Colombia that they forgot to tell us, but a specialist is on vacation or he's ill. Many, many calls and WhatsApps from patients, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, to my staff that they have a problem, or they've been thrown out of the hotel, or their money that we gave them to use, that he went shopping with it, etc., etc., etc. So needless to say that SZV is way happy that this new hospital is only a drive away. And that's why we have been there from day one. That's why we have been there with the tripartite from March 2015. And we do hope that the challenges ahead, because we still have challenges with this hospital, but guess what? Every single challenge we had up to now with all of us, we solved it because we came into a room together and we put our differences aside and we worked together and we came up with solutions. We didn't criticize each other. Criticizing is the easiest thing you can do. You need to come up with solutions. Do we have a problem with our dump? I think so. How do we solve it? Working together. Do we have a problem with our airport? Yes, we do. How do we solve it? Working together. Education, healthcare, name it. We St. Martin's, citizens of this island, have to learn to put our differences aside and work together. You heard many speakers thank the previous governments, and yes, I think I went through 4 or 5 ministers of VSR, and I'm still standing. But each government worked towards this final goal. And that is what we have to do. And that is how we'll solve the dump. That is how we'll solve the airport. That is how we'll solve every other problems on this island. And I know politics has to be played. Let's use it. But we need to be able to work together until we can get this island out of the crisis it's in. Thank you very much, and congratulations, St. Martin, with your new hospital to be.
Well done, Glenn. We have one more speaker, and then the steel pan is being warmed up. I'm going to call the group of people who are going to don the hard hats and do their little Pied Piper trek to the groundbreaking ceremony. So without further ado, I will call the last speaker, important because he's the one that's actually going to put the project together. That's Mr. Alessandro Cambri of INSO, who is the project leader.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I don't take a lot of time because it's almost ready to go to make the groundbreaking ceremony. A brief introduction. My name is Alessandro Cambri. I'm the regional manager of INSO for the Caribbean area and the project manager of St. Martin Hospital. So more than 2 years has passed from the signature of this contract in September 2006. And during these 2 years, we worked hard all together to arrive at this moment, very important. And this ceremony is the evidence that the construction of the new hospital of St. Martin has become reality. The island of St. Martin passed a terrible tragedy with the impact of Hurricane Irma in September 2017. But I saw immediately after this event that there was a strong will to reborn, and a big effort has been done to come back to the normality. The construction of this modern, strong, and efficient hospital will be part and will be a symbol of this reborn of the island. And as general contractor, I'm proud to have obtained the building permit on time and approved without too many remarks by Vromi. And this is thanks, I say thanks, and all the contribution of the design team, our design team, and also of the fundamental collaboration of Smmc and its consultant, as in premise KPMG and Royal Sconing. Introduction of the company, we are part of the third largest group of construction in Italy, Condotte Group. Unfortunately, our parent company, as before has been said, getting through a financial turbulence due at the deep crisis that the construction business had during 2018 in Italy. And I hope that this turbulence will be passed quickly and without consequence of the construction of this hospital. A special thanksgiving I have to say to the Minister Lee and to Mr. Klarenbeck and all their staff for the support and the strong partnership that we had during the last 2 years, and I hope on the next 4 years. Without this strong relationship, I think we couldn't arrive to this moment. So thanks to everybody, thanks to the island of St. Martin.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cambrini. The speeches are over. We are now going over to the groundbreaking. Thank you ever so much for being an incredible audience. You patiently listened to all of the speeches. You had a lot of information. I told you you would have been informed, you would have been educated, and I also told you you would have been entertained, and you would have been given some refreshments. The refreshments are off. The entertainment is in the... Dow, are you ready? Before we follow the Ebony Steel Orchestra as they wind down the path to the groundbreaking ceremony and the unveiling of the constructor's signpost, I'm going to call forward a number of people who will be putting on the hard hats, and they will be receiving that from the facilities director, Erica van der Horst. So, I've already asked the governor, Dr. Holliday, if he can witness. There's a hat for you if you want one. But I've been told you'll just witness. Maybe I could wear yours. The Deputy Prime Minister, can you come forward, please, Mr. Wycliffe Smith, and receive your hard hat from Ms. van der Horst. Emile Lee, there's a hat for you. Mr. Johnson, my new friend. Take two. Mr. Robert Yan James, there's a hat for you. Case, go get your hat. Dr. Holliday, there's one for you. Erica, make sure you don't give them all, keep one for yourself. The SMMC staff representative, Christina Jacobs Burkle, there's a hat for you. And there's also a hat for another staff representative, Michael Sargent. I can't see Glenn Carty's name. Is there one for Glenn? Yeah, there's one for you, Glenn. Come on. Hank Dazelle, there's a hat for you. A hard hat. Alessandro, you should have many hard hats, I think, since you're running the project, but there's one for you. And the project manager, Miss Fingerling. Where is Miss Fingerling? Great. So, when you hear the steel band starting from the Ebony Steel Orchestra, you are to follow, and I will ask everyone to please follow, starting from the first line, and the governor who will witness.